Hello, everybody, and welcome to Choice, Change, and Action podcast. So I'm still in Opatia, Croatia. I feel like I've been here for ages, which I pretty much have been. And I saw both of these lovely ladies here last week, except I'm not so actually Katioucha. So welcome, Katioucha and Tereza. Here's something funny. Let me try your last name, Katioucha. Katioucha Zakhanevitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like,
Yeah.
that's like 90% correct.
Well, let's say 95, 96, 97.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And where are you at the moment?
I'm in Belgium.
You're in Belgium. Okay. So you headed off
Base camp.
home to Belgium. And Tereza Dobrotova.
Yes.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Maybe my language is getting better from having you guys on here.
We are rubbing off.
And Tereza currently is at Castle Borgoni in Italy at the moment. So welcome, ladies. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is language and communication, and particularly language was what pinged me. I was talking to Tereza. I think we were in Poland, were we? Somewhere. Yeah, I think we're in Poland. I don't know. This is the end of my 3-month tour. So I love it when I saw Tereza the other day and she goes, wow, I was with you here and here and you're still going. And I went, yep, I'm still going. She's been home and everything. And I'm so impressed. So both of you ladies speak quite a few languages. Tereza, let's start with you. What languages do you speak?
So, like fluently, I would say is my mother tongue, Slovak language, Czech, French, English, and Spanish, and then 3 others that I can get by relatively, which would be German and Italian and Russian. I'm here at the castle practicing my Italian.
Oh, good. I love it. Someone was asking me a question the other day in class and Tereza walks past and I just went, Tereza, because I was like, she's got to know this language. She's got to know how to spell something out of all the languages here. So she's walking past her. I pulled her in. And Katioucha, how many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak fluently the languages of my parents, which are English and Russian, and then Dutch and French because I live in Belgium, and I'm learning Italian and I'm learning lots of other things. And yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give a little brief summary of my languages. Since what do I speak fluently? English. But when I was little, my dad is from Lithuania and he spoke Lithuanian, Russian, English, and German. And so when I was little, he decided to teach us, like the kids, German because he thought that would be the most language that we could use the most. And I remember as a kid learning German, and Dad would count in Russian, he'd count in German. I grew up with hearing that. But I did that thing as a kid, especially living in Australia. We're surrounded by water. We're not surrounded by other countries. We're surrounded by water. And then also the countries around us all speak English. So there's not this drive to learn another language, I will say. At school, usually used Japanese, Chinese, Mandarin, or French is the biggest languages that people learn in Australia. And then I don't even know why French, but it's there. And I did that thing of going, I don't want to learn this anymore, like being a petulant little kid. And my dad just went, okay. And I so wish that he had said, you must learn German, even though I would have hated him for it. But I did notice when I was 19, I went and lived in Austria, in Österreich, in a really small village. There was 845 people and 3 people spoke English. So luckily my boss was one of them that spoke English, and man, did I learn it quickly. Like all the German that I'd learned as a kid came flooding back. And I also learned very quickly how to deal with food because I would have to cook and go to the supermarket and, ask for slices of things and all of that. And I actually found German reasonably easy. And I've noticed even now as I travel, like David Kubis and Fatma, who we know and we work with, they're like, your German is actually okay. My pronunciation, everyone always laughs at it and says it's cute because everyone used to go, oh, you sound so cute. And now trying to learn Italian, I'm like, please correct me. I don't want to sound cute with my Italian or German because my grammar is really bad, is what I would say in German. And also learning German in a small country town in Austria, it's like, talk about the absolute opposite to Hochdeutsch, which is, you know, supposed to be the proper German. It's like it's so much slang in it. And so anyway, I started learning Italian. I think Italian is so beautiful. It's just I love the beauty and the color and the expression. Like I was just saying today, Italians use so many words for so much, and then one hand gesture, there is so much in that. It's incredible. And I think that is so much a part of it as well. But I started learning it, and I had an Italian teacher, and I also did Duolingo, which I know people like sort of shit on Duolingo. Can I say, if you're doing some other stuff, it actually helps like to have this constant thing of something that's there, like as long as you use something, an outside source as well. But I want to say, I get that I'm missing this gene or something that can pick up languages like you guys and like everyone in Europe. I know that's the lie I'm telling myself. So I'm having you guys on here to talk about the classes and what you're creating with language and communication, but I'm selfishly doing it as well because I would like to know more. And I think I'm pretty sure I want to attend one of your classes. So let me start with this. How did you two get together and start what you're starting? And what the fuck is it?
I love the question. What the fuck is it? Well, you know, when I started facilitating access consciousness, people knew I was speaking quite a few languages, and they naturally came to me to say, hey, would you like to facilitate a class on this and this? And then it started with little intros here and there, and then it became a specialty, so more ease with languages and communication. And even before Access, one thing I realized, I was already using the tools somehow, as we all do, and realize when we meet Access, is that I had friends calling me, hey, my teenager failed in Dutch, my teenager failed in English, would you please help them pass their exams like tomorrow? And whenever I worked with all those teenagers, I would invariably ask them, because when I asked them a question about language, the language they were studying, they would say, like, you know, typical teenager, I don't know. And I wouldn't budge. And I would say, what do you know? Yes, you do know. And I would keep asking, yes, you know it. And in the end, they would invariably tell me the right, you know, the correct grammatical answer or whatever. And so I realized how much they lied to themselves, thinking they don't know because they are not supposed to know. And because that's what we tell them. You are born with one language and you have to learn with sweat and tears to speak another language. And one thing that is interesting that I learned during all my journey is that when a baby is born, it can speak any language. So if a baby, and language is energy anyway, so that's how, you know, it works. So if a baby is exposed to one language all the time, it will master that language and say, oh, this is how we talk here. And if the baby is exposed to two languages, they say, oh, I can speak that with my mom and I can speak that with my dad. Yeah. And, you know, you could be exposed to 60 languages and be able to speak 60 languages. So with the access tools and having that kind of information and knowing that your point of view creates your reality, it's like, wow, a whole new space opens up of possibilities with languages too.
So, okay, I love this. And I was just with Sebastian, who is like a mutual friend of ours who we work with, Uliana and Connor and their kid, Sebastian, in Russia. And he's so funny because he speaks Russian and English, like, and he'll do half Russian, half English. And he'll look at you and say something in Russian, and then he looks at you and he's like, oh, she doesn't get it. I'm going to say in English, you know, and does it. Or it's a an energetic thing that he'll pull you in of like, this is what I want. Like he'll even not use his words and just energetically. So I'm so hearing, and I know I need to get over this. I'm so hearing that it's your point of view that creates your reality. And we talk about that in Access Consciousness all the time. You know, if you go, I have no money, I have no money, I have no money. Well, guess what? You're going to have no money, you know, or I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. You're going to create depression. So you think that as we get older, we have a point of view. And you know what? I'm going to say growing up in Australia, man, so many people have the point of view that they just can't learn another language because there's nowhere to practice it. That's the justification.
Well, and in all countries, people have that same belief that others can and they can't. Or, you know, in Belgium, it's, oh, but the Flemish are so good at languages and we French speakers suck at languages. But if you go to Switzerland, you find the same points of view. If you go to France, you find the same points of view. If you go to the Czech Republic, anywhere you go, people will have some points of view telling them they suck at languages, basically.
Okay, so I come to you and I go, I've been trying to learn, and I say trying. I mean, here's what I do is, do I enjoy it? Yes. Tick. Okay, keep doing it. And then my next thing is I say to myself, I'm like, I know more Italian today than I knew yesterday. Okay, I'm going with that. Because when I started too, I was like, I can't judge myself here. I can't, like, if I judge myself for what I'm not doing rather than what I have generated or created or come to, like, it's a different energy. I noticed that. So what would be one of the first tools, or what would you guide me in or help me with in being able to, actually, I've got another question. Sorry. Embrace the language. I also travel to Costa Rica a lot, South America. I'm about to go there for 2 months. Man, Spanish, Italian, it's like, you know, como estai, como estás, like all this. And every now and then I'll say something to my Italian friend and he's like, half Spanish. And I'm like, because I'll just get them mixed up and I'll use Italian and Spanish together and then do this thing. It's like, and the other day I need to be able to learn both. Like, I know I can. It's like, I don't have to learn Italian and then learn Spanish. I know I can embrace this and I can choose this. But how would you deal with someone like me just to like pop over that barrier or that?
Do you want to answer, Tereza?
Yeah, I want help.
So, yeah, totally. For me, when you first said that, oh, I speak English, fluent English, I wanted to say, but wait, Simone, I heard you speak German. I know you're learning Italian. So we oftentimes like dismiss. And when people come to me when they want help with their English, you know, I said, well, do you eat cornflakes? Do you know you have, you know, on and off buttons? Like, there is no way you can separate yourself from English these days. You know more than you think you do, right? And if you like the Italian cuisine, for example, there is a plethora of words already, you know, or not maybe plethora yet, but some words that you know. So I would definitely start with the platform of everything that you know, that you enjoy about it. And when you talked about Spanish and Italian, I have the same. When I was ordering my drinks here at the castle, you know, I said half of the sentence in Spanish and they corrected me. So it's also a question of what if this could be a play, you know? I like to be corrected. Of course, I want to learn.
Yeah.
And if you totally. And people might have the, oh no, but if I say it incorrectly, and they judge themselves before they dare speak. But it depends. Like, if you have a person that's cool with you and that wants to help you, you know, that is there cheering, like the staff here, then it doesn't matter.
Not judging.
And you will, yes, totally. And you will get better faster, I would say. For me, the easiest way is always to put myself in situations where I have no other choice but speak the language, you know. And I when I was 25, I think, I moved to Spain, and I didn't speak Spanish, but I spoke French. And maybe 1 month, a couple of weeks before I moved there, I started learning Spanish. And then I came there and I would speak half French, half Spanish, you know, French with a Spanish accent, with the r. But that was my way, my start. And I would use, you know, I would cheat. How can you go around it? I would use a lot of international words, you know, and then just trial and error, basically.
Yeah, and also one thing is that we have created a lot of separation. Well, this reality has created a lot of separation with languages and using languages to separate. But if you go beyond that separation and you start to see it's all, I usually say that, words, no matter the language, are like a dress, a different dress you put on energy. And so you've got the Italian dress, you've got the English dress, you've got the Chinese dress, we've got all sorts of, and so it's easy. You just change dresses. It's like, there is no separation. And when you talk about Sebastian, it's also, in my family, all of us were multilingual. So sometimes a particular thing we would say in French, because the energy that matched that word with that thing was more in French. Or for other things, we would use a Russian word because it was more matching what we were experiencing around that. And so, yeah, it's a big play. And if we no longer buy into the separation that is done with languages, and it's actually such a huge sandbox and you can play with everything, then what else is possible?
Yeah, and from both of what you guys are saying too, it's I so hear not not being in judgment, and so many people don't want to say anything or they don't want to practice until until they get it correct. Like even a friend of mine recently, I was in Costa Rica and at El Lugar, and he's now traveling all around South America, and he started learning Spanish, but when he got to Costa Rica, he wasn't even willing to sort of say, muchas gracias, or like say thank you in anything. And I was like, hey, just start with that. Like start with, most languages, when I go to a country, I try and learn, hello, goodbye, thank you, please, like learn these really basic words. Some of them I'm like, what the hell? Like these are not the easiest. Russian is probably one of them. Turkish is one that I'm just like, I never understand that the Turkish language is really hard for me to understand. But I think if you just even start with a few basics, and they always say the French are really grateful when you speak any language. I think anyone is really grateful when you try and speak the common tongue language in the country that you travel. And I love you keep mentioning too, Katioucha, like there's a separation. Like, will we buy into the separation? Because it doesn't have to be a separation. So how many of you listening to this too have decided that you cannot travel based on you don't speak the language? And everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100, shorts, boys, provids, creations, bases, and beyonds. And that is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, which you can find out more in the subscription notes and in theclearingstatement.com is the website you can go to for that. So is there what else would you guys suggest that people, start to look at to make this more ease for them?
Well,
like how do you guys start classes?
You mentioned fun, and there's also relaxation. And if you add those together, it's a magical recipe for having more ease with languages. And I see from even myself, you would consider, oh, but you speak already so many languages, you have so much ease. Yes, but I can have more ease. And I realized that getting rid of all my points of view around a particular language or another language, or my capacities with a group of languages, all of a sudden there's an increase in my capacity with a particular language, even if I haven't practiced it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when Gary Douglas, founder of Access Consciousness, says, I don't know why, all of a sudden I speak more Spanish than I used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because everything you do to get rid of all the crap you've accumulated around, all the judgments of yourself, the judgments of a language, of a culture, whatever, that are mostly not even yours, then you get this download and you don't know how. So it can also happen like that, magically.
Okay, so everywhere, if you're listening to this and you're going, what the fuck, that's not possible. Everywhere that you're refusing the instant actualization of knowing and speaking and being with a language, we destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, fuck and pod, all 100, shorts, boys, perverts, creations, bases and beyonds. I'm also going to say you do have to put some action in too. Like, one of the things with German, I know how to count really, really well in German, and I can count like any number. It's like easy. But what I did do when I lived in Austria, I used to go to this swimming pool, and it was probably like 20 minutes walk away, and I would count all the time. I would count to 100, and then I would count backwards. So, and I think when you learn to count backwards, it gets so in your head, and my numbers are not nearly as good in Italian. And so I started, when I was hiking, I would start to try and count in Italian and do the same thing, because that was a tool that sort of, as I was walking, I was like, well, why don't I just count, and do this. And that was one thing that I learned. Another thing too is two more things that I have done is, one, at home I got Post-it notes and I labeled everything I could with Italian words. So I can walk around a kitchen or a living room and I can name everything in Italian. And then I'm like, but the problem is now I have to put it into a sentence. And when someone's actually talking about it, and I find with a lot of the European languages too, is that past, present, and future thing is like, at the moment, I can pretty much talk in present, but there is no past and there is no future in Italian. It's like, it's the now, and then breaking out of that into something different is something that I need to choose. The third thing that I've done, which I found really helpful and extremely frustrating at the same time, was a friend of mine who's Italian. We would do this thing of going, okay, the next 20 minutes, nothing but Italian. And we would just be like either having a cocktail or doing something or hanging out or at a restaurant. And so he would talk to me in Italian and I'd have to answer him in Italian, and I'd have to find my words, a little bit like what you were saying too before, Katioucha, going, you do know, and I'd have to, I'd want to say one thing, but I knew these words over here. So I could it was a more simple sentence, but I was getting my point across or whatever I wanted to say. And it was like 20 minutes, nothing else but Italian. And I found that was actually really helpful if you have someone that you can do that with and you're learning a language. So that's three of the tools that I'd suggest too, because you do have to take action. You can't just go and buy, Spanish grammar books and leave them on your bookshelf and then wonder why you can't speak Spanish. It's like, there's got to be something with it. So,
well, very pragmatically, you can just make a list of all the resources that you already have or that you could find and what's fun for you. Like you mentioned several of them. That's amazing. And then do I need to go to a school or, for a course online or live, or do I have to learn, do I enjoy learning by myself with a grammar book, or maybe with, watching Netflix in the language, or have a lover in that language? That helps a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember, this is easy to say it like this. I used to teach in a school in Brussels, secondary school. These girls were like 12, 13, 14. And it was a school that was, what's the word? Well, children in difficulties, let's say it like this, whether it's family or financially or whatever. And two of them came to me and they said, can you tell us which school we could go to improve this language? And I looked at them and I said, why would you like to go to school even more? You don't even like this school, so why would you like to go to another school? And they looked at me, what? The teacher is telling us not to go to a school? And I said, you live in Brussels. There are so many foreigners here. There are so many clubs and activities you could do in the language. Just what you enjoy doing and do it in your language, in that language.
Thank you for that. Because I like cooking as well. And I might see if I can find, because we've got so many Italians at home, Greeks and Italians, big. I might actually see if I can find something where I can do that or go do something like that. And also the thing to look at.
Swedish cook?
With a what?
Get a Swedish cook.
A Swedish cook.
Yeah, like in the Muppet Show. It was a
Oh,
joke.
right. Yeah. Okay. The Muppet. Okay. Got it. The other thing too is people have offered me different things in Italian, and I know it's just the way my head works or my thing works is if I see the way it's spelt, I can read it. Like say German, I think too is once you can read it, you can read it. It's like in Italian, once you can read it, you can read it. Like whereas someone gave me, I can't remember the name of this guy, but he does this like audio, and you listen to the audio and the conversation. I get lost in that. I need to see it written, and as soon as I see it written, then it will always show up in my head with the spelling, and then I know how to pronounce it, or you know what that is, like the pronunciation, etc. So I get it's so much finding what actually works for you as well with languages, and play with it. And if something doesn't work, then choose something different. Like, because someone was swearing by this, going, they learned so much Italian by listening to this guy. And I'm like, I started listening, and I was like, I had no idea what the hell's going on.
I also love, for example, stand-up comedians. Like nowadays, if you know, there are so many that play with accents and with, you know, talking about different cultures or so on. So a language, it's a whole download. It's not just grammar, vocabulary, and so on. And it's interesting how much easier it can be when you're actually interested in the whole thing. At least that's how my brain works, that I, instead of just having separate things, you know, I love to get a whole connections. And what you said is exactly what works for you. What is your style of learning? And it might be going into a little uncomfort, you know, just like out of your comfort zone. Yeah, you're gonna talk with this person, even though English would be easier. You both speak English, but let's do it, you know.
Yeah.
And then, but then what opens up, like what you receive as a contribution, thanks to, you know, a couple of maybe words when you travel to another country, and what that can open up. So for me, languages are really a way of connecting with people, and of course communication, not of a separation. Because if I see somebody from, you know, that speaks 5 words of Slovak, I'm like, oh wow, you know, here's the whole world, you know. Thank you so much for just like taking the time and the effort. So we underestimate that. And what I also wanted to say is the whole significance thing. We make languages so important, but as you mentioned, Sebastian, you know, the kids or babies, like how do they communicate, or are they stressed about making mistakes? No, they know what they want, and they're gonna say it to you in whatever way you'll get it, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's
and also humor. For me, I enjoy humor as a translator. I love translating jokes. You know, we are both translators for Access Consciousness with Katioucha. That's one of my favorite things, to see people laugh, you know, after when I translate, or just like laugh in general, the participants. And I think, you know, it's worth even making a mistake, because you never know. It can open up to open up a different possibility. And that's one of the things that the participants of the classes More Ease with Languages and Communication say, for example, okay, well, I made some mistakes, but then we both laughed and we had such a good time, instead of, you know, being in the judgment and trying to have it perfect in just, you know, one way. What if it's, you know, something different is possible, basically.
But there's so much energy on that too, as you say that, Tereza. It's like being in the judgment and trying to get it perfect. And it's like, how many areas of your life do we spend trying to get it perfect and trying to be right about it, rather than just playing with it, which we've all mentioned, like that play and that joy. So let's do this. Everywhere that you've been choosing to be perfect in life about something, including learning languages or anything, before you show anyone or before you expose yourself to the world so that you and somebody else can have a giggle where you destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion, right? And on good and bad, POC and POD, all 100, shorts, boys, provids, creation, spaces and beyonds. I was in the car the other day because we lost the key to the car, and I was with David Kubis, and I was like, wo ist die Schlüssel? And he just started cracking up. We're in the car, and I'm like, why are you laughing? Isn't it Schlüssel? And he's like, yeah, but you put so much emphasis on the ooh. Like, and I was like, so the whole car trip, we're just saying, which Schlüssel is key. So the whole car trip, we're just like you saying Schlüssel over and over again. But I like it when I do speak German that people giggle and then tell me what it is so that I can choose to change it. And because it's so ingrained in me the way I learned. And so then I can have something different, but I will give it a go. I will give it a shot. Like I spoke to the guy the other day here. My air conditioner was broke here at the Airbnb, and the guy came and he's Croatian, and he speaks a few languages. But David said, "Did it get fixed?" And I went, "Well, between my English, Italian, and German, I think we got there. And I think I found out that there was a leak in the gas, and I like told the story, and I went, and it could be a completely different story, but because we were all using Italian, German, and English to try and get this across, because his English was his worst language. But I love that, because it's like we both look, and I was like, oh, and he would do German, and I'd be like, oh, go to Italian, oh, go to English, like, depending on what I could hear and what I could grasp. And I'd ask him in a different language, but he would answer me in another one. And I just think that play is just so incredibly beautiful. And as you guys have both mentioned, it eliminates a separation. It creates a different reality and a different possibility between, these amazing, beautiful beings around the world. So
it's just a wonderful example, if I may say, of languages being a tool. Being a tool instead of it being a limitation.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and you've got to choose that, because it's so easy to choose language as a limitation. What if you actually stepped outside? I think it was you, Katioucha, or one of you said that, step outside of your comfort zone and start to look at language as a tool and as something different and as something greater rather than as a limitation. Like, I was talking to someone this morning, and I was like, is this how you, like, do you go to bed happy? Do you wake up happy? Is this how you want to live your life? Like in 20, 30, 40 years time, you go, oh, I wish I'd done this. This is your life. What is it you'd like to choose? Like, let's go. Let's choose more. Let's choose greater every single day, no matter what it takes, no matter what it looks like. So tell me, guys, about your classes, and where can people find you, and what does this be like?
Me, you, me. So since last year, I think I asked Tereza to join me and facilitate this class with me, because it's so much more fun to create together than alone in my little corner, and we are having fun. So we've been doing regular intros nearly every month, and there's one coming up on the July 24th, and it's called "What Spells Are You Casting with the Words You Are Choosing?" And then we have 3 hot seats free in August, and then we have another intro during the ESB in Budapest, and then we have a weekend class at the castle in October.
Wow. Nice. How does it get any better than that? I love it. Exactly where. And if you're listening to this and you want to jump on YouTube, you can check us out on there, and you can see Tereza is actually at the castle as well. So we will have all of those details in the show notes. So please don't forget to subscribe for the show notes, and all of those details will be there. And is there a website that they can go to, or can they just find this on accessconsciousness.com? Or
there's some stuff on Access Consciousness. Tereza, on her website, she has some of the classes. I have some of the other classes on my website, and we are working on a common page for the specialty. So that's coming up soon. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me know when you do too, because I'd love to share it in my Telegram thread as well. And if you are not a part of my Telegram thread, it's just called Engage with Simone, and there's a whole bunch of different things that I put in there. Basically, it's your choice to choose to come and hang out on the Telegram thread. So I'll have that in the show notes as well, and you can join that, and it's just updates or brief little videos that I put in there randomly when I choose, basically. Not inspired, was when I choose. So is there anything else, ladies, that you would like to add to today? Nope.
What else is possible with
What
languages
else
and
is possible?
communication?
Exactly.
Totally.
All of
How
life
much,
comes to us.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And how much more fun could you all have with this?
Yeah. And the mantra of
Yeah.
access
And
consciousness, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. Let's do all of languages comes to us with ease, joy, and glory. I love it. Tereza, what were you going to say?
totally. I just want to say, what if there is no wrong way of communicating, no right way, but what is your way of communication and language learning and all of this? So yeah, really, what if we could be curious, not judgmental of ourselves? And what if it's way easier than you ever thought?
I love it. Curiosity and no judgment. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here. I adore you guys. I'm so grateful that you're actually doing this. Yeah, don't forget, subscribe, and you'll get all the different details of where you can find these guys and learn a language or two. Why not? Hey, per que no?
Thank you,
Thanks,
Simone.
everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.